The reformist vision shared by Pope Francis and Cardinal Luis Tagle represents a transformative force within the Catholic Church, aiming to reshape its role in a rapidly changing world. At the heart of this vision lies a commitment to a more inclusive, compassionate, and accessible church, one that reaches beyond institutional confines to serve humanity's most vulnerable. This approach seeks to bridge the gap between doctrine and daily life, offering a message of hope and solidarity to those who feel alienated from traditional religious structures. Pope Francis has consistently emphasized a church for the poor, advocating for humility, service, and dialogue. Cardinal Tagle, often seen as the embodiment of these ideals, complements this vision with his ability to connect on a deeply personal level with diverse communities. His pastoral approach is rooted in his upbringing in the Philippines, where he witnessed firsthand the struggles of marginalized groups. Tagle's sermons often reflect a profound empathy, addressing the challenges of poverty, inequality, and environmental degradation while offering spiritual guidance. Their shared vision is not confined to words, it is reflected in their actions. Both leaders have actively sought to decentralize the Church's authority, empowering local dioceses and encouraging grassroots initiatives. This decentralization aligns with their belief that the Church must not only be a moral authority but also a partner in addressing global crises such as climate change, migration, and economic injustice. Tagle's role as the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples places him at the forefront of this effort, as he oversees missionary activities that emphasize cultural sensitivity and collaboration. The reformist agenda also challenges the traditional clerical model, advocating for a more participatory and transparent church. Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle envision a community where dialogue and mutual respect prevail over rigid hierarchies and exclusionary practices. This has involved difficult but necessary conversations about topics such as the role of women in the Church, interfaith relations, and the response to scandals that have undermined its credibility. Tagle's compassionate leadership style has proven instrumental in fostering these dialogues, creating spaces for reconciliation and understanding. However, their reformist vision has not come without resistance. Traditionalist factions within the Vatican have voiced concerns that such changes risk diluting the Church's core teachings. This opposition has created a delicate balancing act for both leaders, who must navigate institutional inertia, while remaining steadfast in their commitment to renewal. The tension between reform and tradition adds a layer of complexity to their efforts, underscoring the profound stakes involved in their shared mission. Despite these challenges, the reformist vision of Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle continues to inspire millions worldwide. It speaks to a church that is not isolated from the realities of modern life but deeply engaged with them, offering a source of strength and guidance. Their partnership symbolizes the potential for a Catholic Church that is both faithful to its roots and adaptive to the needs of its global congregation. In this vision, the Church is not merely an institution but a living, breathing community, a beacon of hope and love in an often fragmented world. As this vision unfolds, it holds the promise of a more humane and relevant Catholic Church, capable of addressing the profound moral and spiritual questions of our time. The upcoming papal election marks a pivotal moment for the Catholic Church as it seeks to define its path in an increasingly complex world. Among the key figures being considered, Cardinal Luis Tagle stands out as a significant contender, representing a departure from traditional norms and an embrace of a broader global perspective. His potential candidacy symbolizes not just the Church's evolution, but also the growing influence of non-Western voices within its leadership. The election process, shrouded in tradition and secrecy, heightens the intrigue surrounding Tagle's possible ascent. Cardinal Tagle's reputation as a compassionate and reform-oriented leader has made him a natural ally of Pope Francis, whose papacy has emphasized inclusivity, humility, and service to the marginalized. Born and raised in the Philippines, Tagle's journey from the streets of Manila to the Vatican's corridors reflects a deep connection with grassroots communities and a commitment to addressing the needs of the poor. His ability to connect with people from all walks of life has earned him the moniker Asia's Francis, a testament to his alignment with the Pope's vision of a church rooted in mercy and social justice. As the former Archbishop of Manila, and now the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, Tagle has consistently demonstrated a capacity to balance administrative acumen with pastoral care. His leadership has been instrumental in expanding the Church's outreach to Asia, Africa, and Latin America, regions that are increasingly becoming the heartlands of Catholicism. This demographic shift underscores the strategic importance of leaders like Tagle, whose cultural sensitivity and theological depth make him well-suited to guide the Church through this transformation. While Pope Francis has not explicitly endorsed a successor, His visible support for Tagle through key appointments and shared public appearances has fueled speculation about the cardinal's future role. The Pope's decision to elevate Tagle to a position often referred to as the Red Pope, with authority over missionary activities worldwide, has been interpreted as a signal of trust in his ability to steer the Church toward a more inclusive and dynamic future. Yet, the possibility of Tagle's election also brings its share of challenges. His progressive stance and emphasis on reform have drawn criticism from conservative factions within the Vatican, who view his approach as a departure from traditional Catholic doctrines. This tension reflects broader divisions within the Church, as it grapples with issues such as clericalism, social justice, and its relevance in modern society. For Tagle, navigating these internal dynamics while fostering unity among a diverse and often polarized global congregation would be a defining test of his leadership. The prospect of a non-European pope, particularly one from Asia, would mark a historic shift in the Catholic Church's narrative, underscoring its commitment to embracing diversity and addressing global concerns. Cardinal Tagle's candidacy, therefore, carries symbolic weight, representing the aspirations of millions of Catholics in developing regions who seek a leader attuned to their struggles and aspirations. As the College of Cardinals prepares to convene, the world watches with bated breath, anticipating not just a new pope, but the potential dawn of a new era for the Catholic Church. Global evangelization and the cultural shifts within the Catholic Church represent a dynamic interplay between tradition and adaptation, driven by the changing demographics of its faithful. As the Church grows in influence across Asia, Africa, and Latin America, it faces the challenge of embracing cultural diversity while maintaining the unity of its mission. Cardinal Luis Tagil, a prominent figure in this transformation, has emerged as a bridge between these worlds, leveraging his deep understanding of global cultures to expand the Church's reach and relevance. Tagle's leadership in the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples places him at the forefront of the Church's efforts to reimagine its approach to missionary work. Historically, evangelization has been viewed through a Western-centric lens, often focusing on exporting European traditions to other parts of the world. Today, leaders like Tagle advocate for a more inclusive and dialogical approach, emphasizing respect for local cultures and traditions. His work embodies a vision where evangelization is less about imposition and more about mutual enrichment, fostering a church that learns as much as it teaches. The demographic shifts within the Church underscore the urgency of this mission. While traditional strongholds in Europe and North America experience declining attendance, Catholicism is flourishing in Asia and Africa, where communities seek spiritual guidance amid socio-economic challenges. Tagle's roots in the Philippines, a nation deeply shaped by Catholic traditions yet influenced by its unique cultural fabric, equip him with the perspective needed to navigate these shifts. His ability to connect with diverse audiences has been pivotal in strengthening the Church's presence in regions where its influence is growing. Cultural sensitivity is a cornerstone of Tagle's approach. He understands that the Gospel's message must resonate with the lived experiences of people, from bustling cities in Asia to remote villages in Africa. Under his guidance, evangelization has taken on a more collaborative tone, involving local leaders and communities in shaping how the Church serves their needs. This approach not only fosters trust but also ensures that the Church remains relevant in an increasingly interconnected world. One of the key aspects of this global mission is addressing the challenges posed by modernity. Issues such as climate change, migration, and economic inequality demand a Church that is not only spiritually attuned but also socially responsive. Tagle's leadership has brought these concerns to the forefront of Catholic evangelization, emphasizing that faith and action must go hand in hand. His initiatives often highlight the interconnectedness of humanity, calling for collective responsibility and compassion in addressing global crises. Yet, these efforts are not without obstacles. Resistance from conservative factions within the Church, coupled with the logistical complexities of operating across diverse cultural landscapes, present significant challenges. Critics argue that adapting too much risks compromising doctrinal integrity. However, Tagle's ability to balance tradition with innovation offers a compelling counter-narrative, one that seeks to preserve the Church's essence while allowing it to evolve. The story of global evangelization under leaders like Cardinal Tagle is ultimately a story of hope. It is a testament to the Church's resilience and its willingness to embrace change in order to remain a force for good in the world. As cultural shifts continue to redefine the contours of Catholicism, Tagle's vision provides a roadmap for navigating this transformation, one that celebrates diversity, fosters unity, and reaffirms the Church's commitment to serving humanity in all its complexity. This is not just a mission for the present. It is a foundation for the Church's future, built on dialogue, inclusion, and unwavering faith. The Vatican, with its ancient traditions and intricate hierarchy, has long been a focal point of power and influence. Beneath its solemn rituals and public proclamations lies a complex web of political maneuvering and ideological conflict. Power struggles within the Vatican are not a new phenomenon. But under Pope Francis's reformist papacy, these tensions have come into sharper focus. The push for change has ignited debates, alliances, and opposition among its most influential figures, turning the heart of Catholicism into a battleground for its future. Pope Francis's ascension to the papacy signaled a break from many long-standing traditions. His focus on humility, inclusivity, and a church for the poor posed a direct challenge to the entrenched power structures that had long dominated the Vatican. Cardinal Luis Tagil quickly became a key ally in this reformist agenda, embodying the Pope's vision with his compassion and focus on marginalized communities. However, this alignment with change has also made them targets for conservative factions, who see their efforts as a threat to the Church's doctrinal purity and historical authority. The power struggles within the Vatican are not confined to theological disagreements, they extend into administrative and financial realms. Pope Francis has taken significant steps to clean up the Vatican's financial institutions, pushing for greater transparency and accountability. These reforms, while necessary, have exposed long-hidden tensions, as some factions resist the changes to protect their interests. Cardinal Tagle, with his role in overseeing charitable activities and missionary efforts, has become a central figure in this conflict, advocating for a church that prioritizes service over wealth and power. One of the most contentious issues is the decentralization of authority. Pope Francis and his supporters, including Tagle, argue that empowering local dioceses and embracing diversity are essential for the Church's survival in a globalized world. This vision, however, clashes with more traditionalist perspectives that favor centralized control and adherence to strict orthodoxy. The resulting friction has created an environment where every decision, from appointments to policy shifts, is scrutinized through the lens of this ideological divide. Personal rivalries further complicate the dynamics. Cardinal Tagle's rapid rise within the Vatican has sparked admiration and suspicion in equal measure. His reputation as a reformist and a potential papal candidate places him in the crosshairs of those who fear his influence. Meanwhile, figures like Cardinal Pietro Parolin, known for his diplomatic acumen and conservative leanings, represent an alternative vision for the Church leadership. These competing ambitions add a human dimension to the broader ideological struggle, as alliances are forged and tested within the Vatican's labyrinthine corridors. Amid these conflicts, the stakes are extraordinarily high. The Catholic Church stands at a crossroads, grappling with declining influence in the West and rising numbers in the global South. Its response to social issues, from climate change to sexual abuse scandals, is being watched closely by a world that demands accountability and relevance. The outcome of these power struggles will determine not only the Church's internal governance, but also its ability to engage meaningfully with the challenges of the 21st century. For Pope Francis and Cardinal Tagle, the path forward is fraught with obstacles. Yet, their shared commitment to a church rooted in love, humility, and service continues to inspire hope among millions. The Vatican's power struggles, while daunting, also represent an opportunity for renewal. As tradition collides with modernity, the Church has a chance to emerge stronger and more united if it can navigate the delicate balance between reform and continuity. In this high-stakes drama, the ultimate question remains: can the forces of change overcome the inertia of the past? Or will the weight of tradition hold the Church back from its evolving mission? The comparison between Cardinal Luis Tagle and Cardinal Pietro Parolin is not just a study of contrasting personalities, but also a reflection of two distinct visions for the Catholic Church's future. Both are influential figures within the Vatican, yet their paths, priorities, and leadership styles diverge significantly. In many ways, they represent the Church's ongoing struggle to balance tradition with innovation, diplomacy with pastoral care, and central authority with localized engagement. Cardinal Pietro Parolin, a seasoned diplomat and the Vatican's Secretary of State, embodies the institutional core of the Church. Known for his calm demeanor and strategic thinking, Parolin has spent decades navigating the intricacies of Vatican diplomacy, forging alliances, and maintaining the Church's geopolitical influence. His expertise in handling delicate negotiations has earned him respect among traditionalists and pragmatists alike. From working on agreements with China to mediating in international conflicts, Parolin has consistently prioritized stability and continuity in his approach. In contrast, Cardinal Luis Tagil's career has been marked by his deep connection to grassroots communities and his emphasis on pastoral outreach. Where Parolin is seen as a master strategist operating within the corridors of power, Tagle is celebrated as a reformist who speaks to the heart of the faithful. His charisma and ability to connect with people across cultures have made him a beloved figure, particularly in regions where the church is experiencing growth. While Parolin focuses on maintaining the church's diplomatic presence, Tagle's mission centers on inclusivity, compassion, and addressing the needs of marginalized communities. Their differences extend to their theological outlooks. Parolin's approach is rooted in caution and adherence to tradition, often favoring incremental changes to ensure unity within the church. His work reflects a belief in the importance of the church's hierarchical structure and its role as a stabilizing force in an ever-changing world. Tagle, on the other hand, aligns closely with Pope Francis's vision of a church for the poor, advocating for bold reforms and a shift toward decentralized governance. His theology emphasizes mercy, dialogue, and action, resonating with those who seek a more responsive and engaged church. Despite their contrasting styles, both cardinals have garnered significant influence, and their perceived rivalry is a microcosm of the broader ideological divide within the Vatican. Parolin's supporters view him as a steady hand capable of preserving the church's traditions while navigating the complexities of global diplomacy. Meanwhile, Tagle's advocates see him as a visionary leader who can rejuvenate the church by addressing contemporary issues such as climate change, social inequality, and interfaith dialogue. This comparison also reveals the stakes involved in the eventual papal succession. If Parolin were to ascend to the papacy, it would signal a continuation of the church's traditional diplomatic priorities and a cautious approach to reform. Conversely, Tagle's leadership would likely usher in a new era of engagement with the peripheries, emphasizing social justice and a more inclusive vision of Catholicism. While the narrative of rivalry may oversimplify their roles, it underscores the tension between continuity and change that defines the Vatican today. Both leaders are products of their environments. Parolin shaped by the Vatican's centuries-old diplomatic traditions, and Tagle inspired by the vibrancy and challenges of the global South. Together they represent the diverse faces of the Church and its potential to bridge the gap between its past and future. As the Church grapples with its identity in an era of rapid transformation, the paths of Parolin and Tagle offer a glimpse into the choices that lie ahead. Whether through diplomacy or reform, their contributions will shape the Church's trajectory, reflecting the enduring question of how an ancient institution can remain relevant in a modern world. Cardinal Luis Tagil's legacy is one of hope, compassion, and reform. But it is also a narrative defined by profound challenges. As one of the most prominent voices in the Catholic Church today, his impact is felt across continents, resonating with millions who see in him a leader capable of bridging the gap between tradition and the evolving needs of the faithful. Yet, his journey is fraught with obstacles that test the limits of his influence and the resilience of his vision. Tagle's legacy is inseparable from his identity as a pastor deeply rooted in the lived experiences of ordinary people. Born in the Philippines, his upbringing in a culturally rich but economically struggling environment shaped his worldview. This background infused his leadership with authenticity and relatability, making him a symbol of the Church's connection to the poor and marginalized. From his time as the Archbishop of Manila to his current role in the Vatican, Tagle has consistently prioritized service over power, embodying the ideals of humility and outreach championed by Pope Francis. One of his defining contributions is his emphasis on inclusivity. Tagle has worked tirelessly to ensure that the Church becomes a home for all, regardless of social status, ethnicity, or beliefs. His efforts in interfaith dialogue have been particularly impactful, fostering understanding and cooperation in regions marked by religious tensions. This inclusive approach, however, has drawn criticism from conservative factions within the Church, who view his openness as a departure from doctrinal rigor. As the prefect of the Congregation for the Evangelization of Peoples, Tagle faces the monumental task of guiding the Church's mission in a rapidly changing world. His role requires balancing cultural sensitivity with theological consistency, a challenge that becomes even more daunting given the Church's shifting demographics. While Catholicism continues to grow in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, it is losing ground in Europe and North America. This divergence places pressure on leaders like Tagle to address the diverse needs of a global congregation while preserving unity. Tagle's leadership is further tested by the Church's internal divisions. His alignment with Pope Francis's reformist agenda has made him a target for traditionalists who resist change. The push for decentralization, transparency, and a focus on social justice has sparked ideological conflicts within the Vatican, where power struggles often overshadow collective purpose. Tagle's ability to navigate these tensions without compromising his principles will play a crucial role in determining the extent of his legacy. Beyond internal challenges, Tagle must contend with the external pressures facing the church. Issues such as climate change, migration, and economic inequality demand urgent action, and Tagle has been at the forefront of addressing these concerns. His involvement in humanitarian efforts and advocacy for sustainable development positions him as a moral voice in global debates. However, these commitments also invite scrutiny, as critics argue that the church risks becoming overly politicized under leaders like Tagle. Despite these challenges, Tagle's enduring strength lies in his ability to inspire. His sermons, often filled with warmth and wisdom, resonate with people across generations and cultures. He has a rare gift for translating complex theological ideas into messages that speak directly to the human condition, offering solace and guidance in times of uncertainty. As Tagle continues to shape the church's present and future, his legacy remains a work in progress. It is a legacy defined by the courage to embrace change, to confront opposition, and to serve the marginalized. In a world that often feels divided and disconnected, Tagle's leadership offers a vision of unity and compassion, reminding us that faith, when rooted in love, can be a powerful force for transformation. The question that remains is whether his vision will endure the tests of time and resistance, or whether it will be reshaped by the very challenges he seeks to overcome.